Hello, my name is Ava. I'm so happy to be here. Hi, Harry. Hello, Richard.
Hello, Ava and Henry and global fellow fighters. Very excited to be with you again.
Hi, Eva. Hi, Richard. Thank you again for having me on, and great to see you on this program.
Okay, so Harry, could you please read our PPT?
Sure. Please look at the first slide.
Okay.
The case of the case of shedding odor. One of the odd things quite a few people have reported is distinct smell, which emerged around them after vaccines entered market. For example, consider this comment from a reader. In terms of crowds, I too have experienced this many times. I feel unwell with flu-like symptoms and can smell a unique odor around people. After feeling this way and then smelling the same odor several times in company with family and friends, I confirmed the correlation with the COVID vaccination. As it transpired, each has been vaccinated within the previous week. I'm very sensitive to meds, and in general, I swear I can smell something. So now I ask, and yet the link is there. Next. Okay, thank you. Where is the smell of the shedding? I have received a variety of similar descriptions of the smell itself. The labels I've used to describe the smell are as follows, with those in bold being the ones more commonly reported: mild, sickly sweet, rotting flesh, magnetic onion, unpleasant, distinctive, the smell of death, medicine plus latrines, musty, musty plus rancid, dead animals, deposit, de- decomposing body, roadkill, putrid meat sweet, sore stomach, elderly person as their flesh breaks down with age, of seaweed, putrid, sweet meat, strange and metallic, sharp, pungent, and toxic, horrible, sour, foul and sweet, acid smell, horrendous breath, overpowering. Please look at next slide. Okay, thank you. The vaccine often causes accelerated aging. From investigating this odor, which I personally cannot smell, I've learned um, the three things that most closely match the odors described here are trans 2 nano, manandialdehyde, and rotten organic matter, all of which can naturally occur in the body, suggesting that shedding odor to some extent represents spike protein tissue injuries, and to some extent are congruent with the observation that vaccine often cause accelerated aging. The other chemistry smell sensitive individuals have studied observing throughout the environment, which may be from modes in the environment metabolizing the shared spike protein, or the disinfectants spread everywhere throughout COVID-19. Please look at the last one. Okay, so the higher spike protein node, the more shedding out. The higher spike protein node appear to be easier to smell. For example, in someone recently vaccinated, as a spike protein levels spike in the blood after vaccination. If the shedder has had a higher total number of COVID vaccines when in close proximity to a shedder, particularly if some type of intimate contact occurred, or when around someone who, for some reason, shed to a great degree. Similarly, more sensitive people who are typically more likely to be injured by the vaccine are more likely to detect this smell. For example, they can still smell it once the shadows are no longer physically present, and in many cases can consistently tell if someone was vaccinated. Thank you, Eva.
Thank you. Wow, it's so many adjective word. I really feel like when I study this PPT, I feel like the smell, but luckily my not really good sensitive sense of smell myself. But when I see the like study this kind of this PPT, I feel like oh my God, even the people they are really sensitive how they live in this kind of a society. I think Richard, maybe you sensitive of smell is good, right? How about you? When you go out, have you have this kind of experience? You Mike, Richard.
Yeah, thank you, Ava. Actually, first I want to thank Henry, for reading this kind of medical words, and it's kind of difficult, but yeah, you did great. And actually, I don't have such clear notice that I smell something or not, but looks like so many people reported that they had such experience, horrible experience. So first, I think today the topic is interesting that they give several key points that now we know the shedding happened immediately after the vaccination. They like the body generate the spike protein intensively after the vaccination, like within days or the weeks. But for me, another horrible feeling is that the smell of this shedding is really a disaster, because I notice and I learned these words, many words I really don't know what's the meaning. For example, the medicines plus latrines. I check what is latrines, and okay, then the explanation is that it's like a toilet, the washroom or toilet. I understand, it's like disgusting, right?
Yeah.
And also the rotten flesh. The rotten flesh is like, oh, you can imagine, the dead animal. Here also they have a dead animal smell. So all of this is like really disgusting. Represent that the body of the vaccinated human, or change so fast, dramatically, to the worst situation. And another issue, shocking me is that the aging, the shedding means the spike protein injure the body and injure the tissue, and which cause the accelerated aging. So which I had experience. I can feel, that friends, especially friends was, vaccinated, and after certain time that we didn't meet each other, and then when I meet them again, I thought, oh wow, I feel that they get aged, you get, like several years older very fast. And it's not one case. I believe you guys have similar case, right? Similar experience. So this is, horrible. Means the spike protein mRNA in the body, they just really, damage the body and the health. Eva.
Thank you. How about Henry? Do you have this kind of experience? But I heard that my friend, like they talk about this, and our fellow fighter talked to me before. I remember they have a good sensitive of smell. So when they tell me, they said that they can smell something stingy, and then I feel like yeah, disgusting and kind of scared. But Henry, you have this kind of experience?
I think so. I can smell something, different. Like when someone getting cold before the pandemic. Right now, when I run with people, if those people who got many shots of the vaccine, I can smell some very different. Okay, and I also observe some people, around me who received at least 3 shots, I found something in common around them, among them. Compared with what I know about them before the vaccination, their facial skins, like are a little bit pale, with no visible, capillaries, showing no trace of, vitality, and lack of its natural texture, like, just like a drywall sanded with a sandpaper, that kind of feeling. So yeah, so I think, something, happening. Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Ava.
Okay, but this kind of things, yeah, like nowadays really happened, and then but this kind of things how can we do? Like, okay, we are human and we cannot isolate ourselves. So, but try to be alone, for, like keep away from them, right? It's how about like I like to know, Richard, if see now we study many like after COVID 19 vaccine, CCP is a like this kind of thing. CCP viruses, CCP is they making the vaccines, and the big bad things, disaster is happen. So,
Yeah.
well, like what do you like suggest?
Yeah, actually, I think, first I want to add one point to the accelerated aging. I can feel that the face, the facial appearance of vaccinated people, the skin is like loosening, it's not like a resilient or very, very strong, so very tight. So the face skin, facial skin is loose. And another issue I want to share to get, in accordance with your idea is that with the COVID-19 virus and vaccine, so now especially the vaccine will, the side effect or already turn into the chronic diseases. So because during the past 1 or 2 years, almost nobody take vaccine, right? And government is canceled. So but the more and more people, they got some chronic diseases like cancer or like other, the disease, which is even worse to the health, to the people. But uh, I think many people, especially in Canada, can feel that, like in the neighborhood, the friends or the neighbors, when you see each other, they smile and they greet you and like normal. But actually, if you don't know them well, you really don't know that they suffer some diseases, in their family, like some family members. So, but so sad, they don't know, and then we cannot share the immediate information to help them because they try to hide this kind of healthy information like privacy, right? So the privacy in the Western, I think, kill people.
Okay, the like actually we know what's happening. So whenever something happened to the friend, I like a first question is how many vaccine they took, and then like already I talked to one of the friend. I told them before not like don't have this vaccine, and then after 3 4 months ago, like she talked to me, the health got a problem, and the sister-in-law, they have a surgery. It's a big surgery. I feel, but you know what? Like once if I talk more, they kind of like scared, or they
Yeah,
want to. Yeah, and people normally they just hiding and they don't
yeah,
want to talk,
yeah,
and they feel like they don't want to face to it.
yeah,
But we want to help them to like I really want to tell them like artemisinin or ivermectin, and this kind of very easy, not too much. You don't need to spend too much money, and but they don't. They don't
They don't
believe. They
believe.
still
Most of
like
them, they don't
yeah.
believe you.
Yeah, but you know, one things like 2 days ago, I see the one of the doctors like William Marquis. He put on the one things Canada Medical Association delayed over 1,000 Canadian doctors suddenly died. They delayed the this number from the website from the Canada Medical Association. This is it's not now like he didn't mention, but I remember at least they delayed the time is 1 or 2 years or something like that.
Yeah,
So
so they
one,
cover up the truth from the public.
you're right. And one thing, I don't know, Henry, do you have a friend like ask you, oh, do you have a family doctor? My the one is like gone, and I have two friend called me. Hey, do you have a family doctor? I said the family doctor already full. Is a cannot take anyone. I have a two friend. They call me. They want to find a family doctor now. Like see the information we can gather. Like yeah, normally like we just can gather like this. Now they short of a family doctor. How about Henry? You have a friend ask you.
Actually, yeah. So, actually, no, because we just don't discuss this kind of thing, you know. As if we were living in a different world, you know. We always focus on, you know, like a medical, yeah, how they control, you know, so um, they just, you know, do not, you know, we just do not discuss this kind of issue.
Oh.
Yeah, because we know that once we open, you know, we started this conversation and there is argue, so that's why I just try to be polite. Okay, so yeah, that's why sometimes even to a family member, you know, it's hard too sometimes. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, Harry is a really polite people, but me is a really like a not. Sometimes my friend said you're so rude. I just tell them, you know, the family doctor, 1,000 1,000 family doctor they died, and like I tell them, and they feel like so scared. And I just tell them this is the truth. You gonna like hurry up. I don't wanna to be late because you know the Chinese like grow up me grow up in North China, so we can talk about die or something. I know South people they feel like when you talk about people even you are not hurry up maybe you die already. This is really rude, but what we can do? Richard, like you have a friend like they want to find a family doctor, this kind of experience.
I don't have such experience, but I know, the family doctor, according to my experience, that I realize that the family doctor, this, Canadian, I think the American the same, the current medical system is, I think is going to collapse because they really don't help the people to cure any diseases. Most of the diseases, is cured by the body itself, not by the whatever the medicine or the treatment provided by the hospital, especially this COVID-19 vaccine, which cause many chronic diseases, right? To kill the people. So I think a family doctor, I'm really not interested in finding family doctor, but we have family doctor, but sometimes I don't believe what they talk for the sensitive issue.
Oh, okay. How about let's take a look, Mark scores one of clip. Maybe we like played before, but I really like tell the ours audience to take a look again, because Mark score is one of like only one people on the earth can tell the truth. Very early years, 2022. So let's take a look, and then we come back to talk.
记住我说的话，共产党在这个疫苗面前 还有病毒面前，必会死，他死10000次都不会拉倒共产党。相信我说的话，共产党因为这场他放出的共产党病毒，一定会被苏委员追究出来。所有疫苗的灾难，最后的算账将3个打破。我说3个打破啊，绝不可更改，绝对彻底的消灭世界上的共产主义。第二，包括共产党，你不用想的，没有任何可能。第二个，全人类上超过1大半的国家不会再相信政府，不会再相信媒体，不会再相信已经存在的金融，因为金融已经成为威胁你打疫苗的手段，特别是加拿大，还有很多国家不让你用信用卡呀，不让你用银行啊来威胁你，它已经成为威胁你，让你死亡。像当年纳粹让犹太人给你说送你去波兰，到了那个各个的监狱啊，干劳动完以后说我送你去波兰，然后路上全烧死你一样，然后让你不用信用卡，不用支付系统，对待犹太人一样，太惨了，对犹太人大屠杀，太泯灭良心了，太坏了。所以这个德国这个纳粹太危险了，但纳粹主义就在疫苗面前，在全世界广泛传播。纳粹主义在疫苗面前表现出的金融手段、媒体手段、强权和腐败的医疗系统和药厂的勾结。所以说，第二，全世界的政府和医疗、科学、媒体都将是彻底被打破实行。第三条，人类上不可逆转的人类的所有的管理系统，政府管理社会，你就是3条，你就存在的原因。第一个，财富分配；第二个，维护治安；第三个，就是把人类共同追求的人类的繁衍、稳定、安全下去，就是健保。现在健保系统彻底毁了，人类的繁衍受到了威胁，你这个政府干什么了？社会的安全啊，我这起鸡皮疙瘩说的是社会的安全已经成为了威胁大众的，你的政府，你不是保护大众，你是威胁大众。第三，财富分配，所有的银行、金融工具支付成了政府威胁人民死亡的手段，你怎么存在呢？不需要你分配了，数字货币可以代表政府重新合理合法的公平的分配财富。那你剩下2条，一个是安保，安保这个问题不由你说了算，未来这安保一定是因为财富没有你说了不算了，那就是根据你干的好坏来确定你能否执行国防、警察、治安、安保。人类的繁衍也不能让你说了算，人类的繁衍将是持有货币者来说了算。
Okay, so every time when I watching Miles Gore's clip, every time I got the different like point, because I think every word is so important, and we really need a deep thinking. How about Richard? What do you think now?
Yeah, actually, we know that Mars Guo exposed to the truth to the world that the COVID-19 CCP virus is made by the CCP in Wuhan lab and released to the world to kill people. And the COVID-19 vaccine is also, by the CCP and the other, evil power. So CCP is going to die because of these vaccines. This is what Mars Guo told us. And another issue I noticed that in the Mars Guo's video clip that, the medical system in the Western country is going to collapse. I had an experience, I talked with a family doctor one time, about the orthotics soul, and then he said that, oh, this soul is going to be $500. And he asked me, do you have the private insurance? I said, I don't have insurance. Oh, but do you want? I said, oh, let me think about it. And then I check this exactly the same stuff in Amazon. It's $60 Canadian dollar. So 60 versus 500 with the medical insurance. This price it's horrible. To common people, it's like a hoax. It's like I think that I can understand it's over almost 10 times. Why, if you use the private medical insurance and they charge you this kind of money, 10 times, 8 times. So why? So I believe it's a hoax. The medical insurance is a hoax. So nobody will believe it in the coming future.
Well, thank you, Richard. You tell this is a really good story. I will ask my friend. I never pay attention for this kind of things, but this is 8 times different. Oh my God, so
Yeah.
ridiculous. How about Henry? You have this kind of experience?
I just I just in like COVID, like I just want to ask all of us, a question. How could we prevent? How can we prevent, like next COVID, this kind of thing, like from occurring again? So that's the big problem. So again, if you just like miles ago, if you care about humanity, you care about your country, you care about your people, care about your families, and then so you need to find out what happened. Like why pandemic, why vaccine, how could this like atrocity happened for several years. So I believe some people like Miles, like the NFFC will help people to spread the truth and then get to the bottom of it to make the world a little bit better place. Ava.
Okay, I think time's up. Maybe see you next time, and let's take down the CCP and see you next same time.
Take
Thank
down the
you.
CCP. Take down
Take down
CCP.
CCP.
Take down
Thank you.
CCP.